Welcome to another edition of the Mo Show Live, everybody. Hey, I'm Morris Lilienthal. I can't believe it, but I've been practicing law for 16 years, and it's hard to believe. But Wyatt constantly reminds me every time I've been down or I'm sitting in a chair that I have gray hair. So it must be true that I've been doing this for 16 years. But I really love it. I'm very proud to be a lawyer. I know a lot of people crack lawyer jokes, but I'm very proud of my profession and what I do, and I'm proud to help people every day. And it's something that I take a lot of pride in doing. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't appreciate about the practice of law is how hard it is and how many moving parts there are and everything that's involved in the practice of law. Not to say that those things aren't involved in many other professions, but in our professions, we pull in so many things and so many moving parts that it's very difficult to manage sometimes. And when you get it right and you've got great lawyers that can do it right, it can be a beautiful thing. And that's who we've got today. We've got three rock star lawyers who manage and run their own law firms. And we're going to be talking about the ins and outs of running your own law firm, how that works, everything from the practice of law, why they're practicing the areas that they practice, managing their firms, and some of the things that may even apply really across many professions, and that's work-life balance. So I'm super excited about today's show. And one of the things that I really learned over the last 2 years of doing the Mo Show, it's all about my guest. I've got a great guest. I have a great show. So now I've got three great guests. So this is going to be a rock star show. So let me kick it off. Let me get it started. So our first guest today is Carol Williams. Carol has a bachelor's degree from the University of Pennsylvania. She has a law degree from the George Washington School of Law. She focuses her practice on immigration law, and she's got offices in Atlanta and Coral Springs, Florida. Our second guest is Alycia Kinchloe. Alycia is a graduate of the Temple University School of Law. She holds an executive MBA from St. Joseph's University. She practiced in several areas over the years in disability law, but really now focuses more on family law, and she's in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. Our last guest is Alycia Kacmarski. I think I probably butchered it, but I'm sorry, Alycia. Attorney Alycia, for everybody that knows her on social. Bachelor's degree from Villanova University and from the Syracuse College of Law. She focuses her practice on criminal defense work, and she is in the Kingston, Pennsylvania area. So I want to thank you, rock stars, my fellow attorneys here, my friends on social that I've gotten to know in person who are even better in person than on social. I really appreciate your time today. Folks, if you're watching live, you've got questions about the practice of law, questions or comments, let us know you're watching. Just give us a comment or let us know that you're saying that you're watching. If you're watching the recorded version, we'll be monitoring the feed after, the comments after. Just put a question in there and we'll try to get back to you and get you any information. So, ladies, how are you doing today? How is your Wednesday treating you?
Really well, really well. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Anytime I can surround myself with rock star lawyers, I am in good company, and it makes me smarter for the company I surround myself with. Well, I guess where I wanted to start is, when you come out of law school, sometimes you kind of have a crossroad that you're starting with right then. And that is, do you want to hang out your own shingle, or do you want to try to join a firm? For some people, you join a firm and you work in a firm, and then you have that aha moment, I want to hang out my own shingle. And you guys have all, at some point and somewhere in your careers, you've made the decision to hang your own shingle out. And I guess just for our audience, give us a little bit, and it's kind of a big picture question, but I kind of like to go one by one and hear your kind of thought process and what inspired you and what motivated you to want to start your own firm, because there's a lot of freedoms that come with that, but boy, there's a lot of stress that comes with it too. So, Alycia, what do you think? What motivated you? And I know a little bit of your backstory, but tell us just a minute or two about why you wanted to run your own firm.
Absolutely. So I had an opportunity to kind of share my story this past week at Maxwell Con, but I talked about basically starting at a firm when I was about 16 years old as a file clerk, and then working my way all the way up and through the firm until I got to the point of managing attorney. And we had about 140 employees at that time. And I was able to see, like, from being the first employee to managing that many employees, how would it look like to build it. So I had an opportunity to practice as a lawyer, but I also did a lot of the business side. So developing the processes, managing, hiring, training people, just a lot of different things. And what I saw was that I was basically doing the work for someone else. Like, I was helping to build up someone else's firm, which was fine at one point. But when you kind of take a step back and look at it, and you're thinking about what your future is, and you're looking at your family, you're thinking, well, if this is something that I'm willing to do for someone else, can I do this for myself? And I think there's a lot of things that go into that thought process because it's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of stress, there's a lot of sleepless nights, and then there's the concerns about money, but there's also you have to go out and get clients and keep clients happy, and we had to make sure that we are practicing law the way we're supposed to practice law, because then we have the other implications that come along with that. So there's a lot to juggle. There's a lot of responsibility. But when it comes down to it, I really enjoy the business side of it as much as I enjoy the legal aspect of it. And when I kind of take a look at that, I don't regret the decision to go out on my own at all. I probably would have done it a little bit sooner if I realized that I would be able to do it the way that I am. But there was a lot of thought that went into it, but it really was just kind of realizing that I was already doing it, just doing it for someone else.
Yeah. What stuck with me from your presentations and the panels you were on this past week at the conference we attended was that you just kind of said, you wanted to build the law firm your dreams. I know there was kind of a transition in your firm, but you had this dream or this vision of what you wanted to do, and you just said, you're going to make it happen. And that's kind of what I know you've done. Carol, what do you think? What motivated you to kind of want to start your own shop?
So for me, when I graduated law school, I went into big firm life, into big international law firms with hundreds and hundreds of attorneys. And it was wonderful at the beginning of my practice. I've been practicing now for 20 years. And that was, for me, perfect. I couldn't have even thought about starting my own firm when I got out. That never even crossed my mind. Like I didn't know how to practice law, much less run a business. And at that point, I had no idea that it was more than practicing law. I had no idea about the business side of it. So over time, over my career, I decided that I wanted more control of my career. I wanted to be able to choose my own clients. I really wanted to be able to help families, which I couldn't do just in the confines of a large law firm because of conflicts and other things. And so I really just decided one day, truly, I was like, you know what? I think I can do this how I think I can do this. And so I think had I thought about it a whole lot more, it never would have happened. So it's good that I really didn't think about it. I figured if I could practice law, I could figure out how to run a business. And so I really then surrounded myself with some really great lawyers who were also really great business owners, because running a business and practicing law are two completely different things. So I really have just surrounded myself with really amazing business owners, and we've been able to share and grow together. So, I mean, that's really why I started my own firm, was really to just truly be in control of my career. And like Alycia said, it's stressful, but I look back now where I am with owning my own firm to where I started, and the things that stressed me out on day one and month one and year one are easy now. So whenever I hit a roadblock or things that are hard now, I just have to stop myself and say, you know what, in a year, whatever this issue is, it'll be more than resolved, and you'll look back and say, oh, I got this. So, and that's part of the community that I surround myself with, who really just kind of builds me up and lets me know that whatever this roadblock is or this stumbling block is today, in 6 months or a year, it won't be anymore.
It's so true, because we all get that, and whether it's in the actual practice of law, I can remember the first year or so that, you just scared to death going into the courtroom about doing something, and you might, prepare for just this little bitty status docket or something, and now you oh my goodness, I got a status docket in 3 minutes. You pick the file up and you walk across the street, and you hadn't looked at the file. But it's the same thing with a lot of the things that how we all met, with some of the marketing things that we do in social. I would have thought, for me, 2+ years ago, to do this show, I would have freaked out to think I would have gotten online Facebook Live and somebody wanted to look at my mug and talk to me on Facebook. But it's so true that you do that. But the other thing that I take away from that real quick is that even though you're in a solo firm, it's about the community and the people that you surround yourself with, even though they may not be your law partners or your associate, that if you can build a network of people that can support you and you can learn from them, even though they may not be your law partner or work for you, you can support each other. And I know that we've all, the four of us, have found a really good community. That's how we met, of fellow lawyers across the country that are willing to help us if we've got questions to help improve our practice. Allison, what about you? What kind of, motivated you to hang out your own shingle?
I don't think it was anything I ever planned for, and I just recently talked about this in an IGTV video that I did because the graduation season really reminds me of not only graduating from law school, but also opening my firm, which I'm proud to say has been 9 years this past May. I started my legal career in the public defender's office here in the state of PA, and I transitioned here back home, which I live in Luzerne County, to work in the district attorney's office. And while working there, you realize a lot of things. I originally came from the defense side. I always still loved being a defense attorney. And no offense to anybody, but I also like to make more money in life. And being a prosecutor is a very rewarding job at the end of the day, fighting for that justice. But sometimes you need to make the transition back to the defense side as I did. So it's something I never planned on. And I also wanted to advance my career. I wanted to sit first chair on homicide cases. I'm a death penalty certified attorney here in the state of PA. And that's my goal always, to be able to represent an individual in that case, because that's the ultimate thing that we go to all law school to work for. So it just kind of happened, and I would have never imagined I would still be doing it 9 years later, and loving every minute of it.
That's awesome, and congratulations on 9 years. That's really great, and what an accomplishment. And it's just, it's something that I think each of you have gone your own path to get there. But I think what I hear is that you had the skill set. Maybe you didn't know you had one side of it versus the other side, but you knew, when I'm talking business versus legal, as Carol was talking about, but you had the skill set and you had the gumption and the want to, even though we were all nerved up about trying to get something like that started, and you just went for it, and because you really wanted to build you have your own dream. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, you wanted to try to better your life for you and your family, but by going in your own firm, which I think there's a really good opportunity to do that once you build up your practice. So that's awesome. I guess the thing that kind of feeds into that, and we've kind of touched on that I wanted to touch on next, was what do you think, what do you enjoy most about running your own firm? And what do you think is the biggest drag, or the thing that's kind of eating the frog, as they say, that you don't want to deal with? And I know what mine is with some of that, but I'd be interested to hear what yours is. Allison, we'll start with you.
My absolute favorite thing is working from home in my bed in my pajamas. Being able to answer phone calls, emails, and text messages from home. And that is my favorite thing. And not having a boss saying you're not clocking in and clocking out. That is my favorite thing. My least is probably, and I didn't go there yet today, is going to the post office and doing my filing. I am a 100% solopreneur. Thank you, though. Sometimes my mom comes out. She does a great job filing and waters the plants so they don't die. But the mailbox, sometimes the bank, and filing are my least favorite things.
That's awesome. Carol, what gets you fired up about being a solo? And
so very similar to Allison. I work out of my home office. I'm a fully virtual firm. And so I love working in my yoga pants. I got to be honest. I have a whole array of work yoga pants versus the weekend yoga pants. I love my yoga pants. So that sort of freedom that Allison kind of talked about, to work where I want and when I want, is really helpful. So I know that if I need to travel because something has happened with a family member, or I just want to travel and have a girls' weekend, I can do that. And I don't have to go through 18 layers of approval. I simply pack my lawyer to-go bag and head out. I have my laptop, I have my phone, and I can run my entire business. So that freedom has been really, really great. The other thing I really love is choosing my clients and being able to help businesses and individuals. I will never forget my very first client when I opened up my firm. When the case was over, it was a citizenship case, and he gave me the biggest hug ever. And nothing beats that when it's your first client. I'm super nervous, and not nervous that I didn't know what I was doing legally, just nervous about having a firm and calling it mine. And the first case was a success, and that hug was incredible. So, getting more of that all the time from my clients is great. The thing that is most challenging for me, which is now why I have given this process over to someone else, is my bookkeeping. I don't do numbers. People go to law school because we don't like numbers, frankly. So I gave that up and got a bookkeeper on board, and it has been smooth sailing ever since. So, that's kind of the one thing that's just a little sticky. And I don't actually like going to the bank either. It is what it is.
Alycia, what do you think? You need the same thing, something a little different?
Yeah, well, I think my answers are probably pretty similar. So, I mean, I think my favorite thing about working for myself is choosing my clients, choosing what areas that I want to work in. Working with fathers, which has been the primary focus of my firm, finding who I feel sometimes is the underserved person in a particular area is something that allows me to continue to be an advocate. Working with dads and making them feel like they're empowered, that they're important, that they matter, and I call them my guys. Well, my guys are like happy and they feel like they've been heard, whether it goes their way completely or not, they get exactly what they're asking for. Just that feeling of making sure that someone feels like they've been heard and they had an opportunity to have their side heard is the greatest feeling. And that comes with being able to choose your clients. And for me, that's probably the most important thing, or the best thing so far. I mean, of course, I love working outside, which is like an amazing thing. My assistant and I were sitting outside in the courtyard today of City Hall. They had live music and there's a fountain and you can work from there and it's awesome. But just being able to choose my clients has been the greatest thing. And I think the most challenging thing, honestly, is probably coming to grips with a lot of our own weaknesses, because I think running your own firm is going to bring out all your own weaknesses. So if you're not great with money, or you're not great with your procrastinator, or if there's some area of something that you don't like in your personal life, your business is probably going to amplify that, because now there's a lot more on the line for it. So I think that sometimes is the challenges, is making your business, or realizing that your business is going to make you confront some things personally that you're going to have to get in line to make sure your business continues to grow. So it's a little uncomfortable, but again, with our community, our network, we have the tools there. We just have to avail ourselves of them.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, and those are a lot of the things that I cherish about the practice of law. Certainly, the freedom that I have to go and do and spend with my family and do. But the flip side of that is like I was mentioning with Carol this morning. As a lot of you guys know, I've got constantly I'm on this fat to fin journey, but I've really tried to do it. I know the three of you are big into fitness too. We may touch on that in a minute, but hey, I couldn't go this morning because I got too many irons in the fire and I had to get here at 5 o'clock this morning. But that's just as owning your own business. I know you guys have done it more times than you can count. You got to do what you got to do to get it, because if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. The other thing for me is HR. That's something I hate dealing with. Hiring or firing people it's just not fun in doing that kind of stuff. And certainly, if you get your house in order, you've got a lot of the processes and things in place that I know we talk about it in a lot of our local communities. Hopefully that's few and far between, but it does happen, and it's not fun because it impacts it. Real quick, want to say hello to our friend Don McClure. Don, appreciate you joining us from out in Texas. Want to say hello to my friend here, Parag Joseph, in a great Huntsville area. Real quick, folks, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Most Show Live. I'm here with attorneys Carol, Alycia, and Allyson, and we're talking about running your own law firm, the ins and outs of the practice, what they enjoy about it, some of the difficult things and challenges about running a law firm. Guess, one of the things that occurred to me as I was kind of doing a little prep today is that we've got 4 attorneys here. Each of us practice really totally different areas of the law, and that's kind of interesting to me. Really wide spectrum. Immigration to family law to criminal defense, and I do personal injury mainly. Just curious, what drove or motivated you to that area? Alycia, what inspired you to be a family law lawyer?
So working with Social Security disability claimants for so long, it's really about advocacy. So it's an administrative process. It's all about being an advocate. You're helping someone who's fallen on hard times. get the benefits that they deserve. And I think it takes a certain type of personality to be able to help people when they are struggling financially as well as physically or mentally. And so I kind of enjoy that. I also have a background in psychology. And then when I was looking at another area because I wanted to do something just a little bit different, I still wanted something that made me feel like I was helping people. And then I looked for a niche or area where I felt like people were underserved. So family law was interesting to me because I was just interested in custody cases, just generally, interested in divorce. And then as I got into that more and I started to get different types of calls, I really found like, a group of people, which are the fathers, felt like they just really felt like they needed to be heard a little bit more. So I think once I kind of got into that, when I started my practice, it was a little bit more general. I didn't decide to go right into family law, but it was a big part of what I was doing. I was still doing disability. I was actually still doing, probably looking at doing a lot of business because of my ABA background. And I
Right.
was working with a really big organization that was feeding a lot of cases to me in a way. So I thought I would actually be a business attorney and the family law would be something I did a little bit more on the side. But as I did more and more of it, I really enjoyed it. I really felt like I was helping families. And so that's kind of what drove me into that. And I feel like, and probably in private practice, when we do general, there are some things, some areas that really kind of stick with us, that kind of like drives our passion. And if we're doing it right, we'll start to do more and more of those, and they'll kind of become the bigger part of the firm. And that's where I found myself.
And it's interesting as you were talking, I was just thinking about all of our practice areas right then. Not that there's anything wrong with business law or estate planning and doing, but in the four practice areas that we all practice, we're usually helping people that are at a disadvantage for some reason, or they've been charged with a crime. They're trying to get immigration status that is not that easy to get, as I'm sure Kara can tell you if you've got specific questions. Or they're facing a divorce or custody issue that is, or in my case, they've been injured in an accident. Some kind of issue is going on in their life that they need someone to advocate on their behalf to try to get into a better position in their life. And that's kind of interesting that we all kind of, are doing that from our perspectives. Allison, what kind of motivated you to the field of criminal defense?
I probably don't really have a good answer. To be honest, I remember watching the ABC TV show The Practice. If you didn't watch it, it's on Hulu. But I watched it, and I don't know if it's that show that made the criminal justice system appeal to me. I remember wanting to be a prosecutor, and my first summer after our first year of law school, I actually interned at the Luzerne County Public Defender's Office with attorney Charlie Ross, who is still there to this day, and he took me to the Luzerne County Prison, which I spent many, many hours at, and I enjoyed it. I mean, going and experiencing it, going to the hearings, hearing about the cases. So I knew at that point that was definitely an area of law. I loved trial practice. I'm a trial lawyer. I could never sit at a desk all day. I love being in the courtroom. And I did some tax law because I have a degree in accounting. So I do know numbers. Only 50% off of sales, and if it's more, you should buy it. But to me, that just wasn't the type of law that I enjoyed. And criminal law is different every day. While the charges may be the same, the facts, the police officer, the defendant, they make each case different and special. So it's always exciting, and I never know what I'm going to walk into. So while I didn't plan on it, I wouldn't change it.
That's awesome. Carol, what made you want to advocate on behalf of people who need an immigration attorney?
So I knew going into law school that I wanted to do criminal law. And I've known I wanted to be an attorney since I was 7. And so when I got into law school, I took criminal law as a first year and hated it. And I was like, no, I'm gonna give it a chance. And then I took evidence, and then I decided, no, I don't want to be in the courtroom all day. This criminal situation is not me. And then summer after my second year, I did a study abroad in Mexico, and the only class I took was immigration. And it was meant to be because that's when I fell in love with the area of law. It married my love of travel and learning about different people and different cultures and just being sort of footloose and fancy free out there in the world. And then once I graduated, I thought I would go into a job helping individuals and doing more family type immigration, but I wound up in big firms. So the majority of my career has been helping businesses hire foreign nationals and everything that surrounds that. And so family was very much on the periphery when it came to getting in the dependents, the wives, the spouses, the husbands, the children, and getting them in school. And then when I opened up my own firm, I decided that I really enjoyed not only working with the businesses, but I also really enjoyed working with the individuals. So because it was my firm and I could really kind of create what I wanted, I added to my skill set of working with businesses, I added working with individual people. And that has been a really great decision for me. It's kind of like Alycia said, they need someone to really advocate on their behalf. I get a ton of clients that say, well, I finally called an attorney because I was Googling or I looked at the immigration website and the instructions were so voluminous and so complicated and I just don't understand what's going on. And so it's nice to be able to unravel what they have looked at online and say, you are headed in the right direction, but you just took a little bit of a left turn, so we're going to kind of get you back on track. And so it was really that's, so that kind of my practice has always been immigration, but I really started for the majority of my practice dealing with businesses. And now I've really added in a more personal component when it comes to working with families, which is really nice.
Well, the cool thing with that is it goes back to what we've been talking about kind of the beginning, Carol, is because you have your own firm now, as you guys have all talked about, you have the freedom to pick and choose and add things into your practice that allows you to, personalize it and get involved and enjoy it even more. Real quick, I want to say hello to our friend, Chris Nicolason out in Colorado Springs for joining us. Chris, thanks for jumping on. I guess, one of the things that I think that we know as lawyers that I think a lot of people may not appreciate is, while advocating certainly in today's time, I'm sure, Carol, for immigration clients, fathers, and in criminal matters is very difficult. And a lot of times, whether it's pleading practice that's difficult or in the courtroom trial practice, whatever, that's tough. But before you even get to that, folks, half the battle sometimes is getting the client. And so, I'm curious, one of the things that I know that, if you work at a big firm, you may not have that as much of a concern because the firm is bringing in the business and the clients as an associate or as a junior partner or something. That may not be as much of your responsibility. But when you run your own firm, folks, I can tell you primary concern number one is you got to have enough cases and clients to help. So I'm curious, and this is kind of how we all met, was through some of the networking and marketing that we do. But I'm curious as to how you see, without letting out any secrets, what is kind of your goal? How do you go through? Look out, everybody! Nick Rishwain's here. Hey, Nick. So I'm curious to get just a quick snippet of what your perspective on that is how have you directed your firm as a solo practitioner, a small firm, managing a small firm? How do you do that? How are you working to network to bring in new cases? Alycia, we'll start with you.
So for me, it's about providing information. And I think that if you're providing valuable information, it starts to establish you as an authority. And I think that's something that you can use to leverage. So as a solo, you're probably not spending as many dollars as someone who's more established or a bigger firm. And so what you lack in terms of money or size, you can make up for in terms of being agile and providing information that people will really want to be able to consume. So for me, it's about providing content, whether that content is through Instagram, which has been good, and honestly, a place that not all lawyers are, except for, you guys, of course, and Allison's there a lot and awesome. But a lot of attorneys, in my area are not there. They're not utilizing that. I get clients every week from Instagram or referrals through Instagram because I talk about my practice there. Again, the blogging content, going out in the community and doing workshops. So every June I do the Father's Rights Workshop, which is free. And then this year we're actually partnering with a state representative to help host it. And so that's something else to continue to kind of leverage our space. But we've been basically creating content that shows that we care about our clients. And I think that when you give away that information for free, people are willing to hire you because you're willing to give so much away for free. I mean, I've had people say that. So that's been kind of my thing is I'm just going to put the information out there. If you need assistance with your case, come to me. But I think it makes people comfortable that you know what you're talking about if you're able to put that information out there. I do some SEO. I've taken the time to actually sit down and study it. I enjoy learning about it. It's that business side of it. So it works well for me. I like playing with it. I've done a little bit of paid advertising on Avo. And I don't mind giving the information out because half the time most people are not going to go do the work to, do what you're doing anyway. But that's what it is for me, is to provide the information and people come to you once you're providing it out there.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's something that we talk about in some of the communities that we're all in, is that it's providing value to other people and insight to other people, and that if you're helping them and you're willing to be a go-giver and do that, I think a lot of times when they start digging in, they'll be what Carol realizes. What Carol was saying earlier with some of her immigration clients is they start digging into it and they realize, oh, this is a lot more involved than I really thought it was going to be. Let me get an expert on my side. Allyson, I know we know you as Attorney Allyson, and you're an Instagram superstar, but kind of talk to us a little bit about, in your community. I know you're in a smaller community. What are you doing as you started your firm and now as you've kind of modified to market your firm and to keep that door of clients coming in?
In my area, we still could be technically like a phone book era. And I don't advertise in the phone book anymore, but I am still committed to the direct mail. It is the quickest way for my name to get in front of someone who's receiving criminal charges at the same time as the letter. The challenge becomes an individual is not just receiving my letter, they're receiving upwards anywhere from 6 to 20, I've heard, for DUI arrest clients, letters from individuals. So the letter is a chance for me. I have a 2-sided letter, so I give some free information right there. What's your preliminary hearing? What does a retainer fee mean? So I'm getting that information to them, and then I have all my social channels. And as everyone has noticed, I personally love Instagram. I also have a Facebook page as well. But it's amazing how many people want to take advantage of these other opportunities. I think people are changing in life. They don't want to pick up the phone all the time to make a phone call. So being able to send me a direct message, whether it's on Instagram or Facebook, has been very successful for my business. And it's successful for me as an attorney because I just sat in court today for 3 hours and did nothing. And if you send me a message through one of the social apps, I'm able to get back to you immediately, answer questions, schedule an appointment. I'm able to make that contact with you. So I'm a big fan of having the social messages as another way to communicate with our clients, especially when they're on the go. And I personally have started to embrace IGTV. I do not have a YouTube channel. The amount of work that I think, the stress that goes into it, while I would love to do it and I love video, I can't do all that. But I want to be able to provide my clients with some long form content, a little more education, but also sometimes I just like to share some personal behind the scenes, like why I work out or what I feel are important attributes that you want in your next attorney. So that has been a really successful way for me to share information. And a little tip for you, an IGTV video has a live link. So you can take that link and actually upload it onto your website. So when your clients are going there to view your website, they can click on your IGTV video and there you go.
Awesome. Real quick, before Carol, I want to get your feedback real quick. Don McClure says he loves Allyson's boxing videos and it does motivate me to get me off the couch sometimes to do. I want to thank Big Mac Albee for joining us. Thanks, Big Mike, and Nancy Garland as well. And one other thing, I just noticed the hashtag sign above your head, Allyson. I don't need to say anything else. It rocks, by the way. So Carol, what do you think? How do you, kind of market your immigration practice to do it? I know you certainly kind of saying before that you have, some business clients that you work with to help them with their immigration needs, have individual clients as well.
So I have 2 really distinct groups of clients. The first thing I do for all of my clients is provide them good service and good value. And when their case is over, our relationship doesn't end. So they become a member of the firm family. So I will call them every so often. I will check in on them for absolutely non-legal things. And it just really, I think, solidifies that we are partners when we are working on your case, but that we still maintain that relationship afterward. So I get a lot of referrals from current and past clients. The other thing I do is, like Alycia was saying, and like Allyson does, I put out content. And that's been really helpful, because I have two really separate sort of clients that I go after. More so of my employment-based clients really like the quick snippets of information. They are super, super busy. They are in-house counsel. They are business owners. So they're like us in the sense that they don't really have, an hour to sit online, and kind of surf through things. But if they can get just a quick minute or 3-minute video, that's really helpful. And I also do videos for my family-based clients, which tend to skew a little bit longer, because I know those clients are really digging into everything that they can find online. Like, they will spend 2 or 3 hours at night just digging through Google and Facebook and Instagram or whatever. Instagram has been super helpful for me. Once I kind of joined the community that we're all in, and I really started doing videos, I've had people, who have, slid into my DMs and started asking me questions. And then they've decided, and all of them have told me, it's just too hard to figure it out myself. So
Right.
Can you help me? And that's really, I think, what we all do as lawyers is we take that worry away from our clients and we make it easier for them to sleep at night. So, I think they really appreciate the content that we put out there for them, because it gives them a sense of control, and what sometimes can be when your life is really spiraling out of control.
Right.
The other thing I do is I blog. So I put blog postings on my website. And that's for that person that actually will sit down and read something. Some of my clients are much more like, I just want to press play and watch a video. So I've been balancing trying to put out different types of content. So I've got content for the person that prefers to read. I've got content for the person that prefers a video, long or short form. So really just kind of meeting my clients where they are.
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think there's a multi-pronged approach and multiple reasons for what we're all doing. Providing content, providing it in different avenues, whether it's written content, video content, networking workshops like Alycia does, and some of the things that I'm doing. And there's, not only for their different needs, different clients that learn and research different ways, but there are also other benefits for SEO, which, if you don't know, that's search engine optimization, which in plain English means when you search Google, what shows up first. But there are different reasons that we do these things. And I think the ultimate goal and the ultimate compliment is what I think you hit on, Carol, which I know we've all experienced. And that's a great feeling, is that when you get that call from a new client and they say that Ms. Jones or Mr. Smith referred me because you handled their case a few years ago. And hey, when somebody thinks a lot of you to trust you with their friend or their family member, boy, that speaks a lot, because they know that you'll help them and do it. I had that happen this week, and it's just brings back, it's like memories of helping that client, and it's like, man, this person has a close friend who's in great need, and they're trusting me with that. Don't want to be mindful of your time, but I want to close on something that I think is very important, and I think applies not only to the practice of law, but to a lot of professions. And that's work-life balance. And that, we were touching on this a little bit earlier, and I know you've all experienced this, especially when you run your own firm and you're in charge, is that it falls on us. And if it's got to get done, the buck stops with the three of you. And if it doesn't get done, you're the one that's got to be accountable for it at the end of the day, whether it's your staff that didn't get it done, or whether it's, whatever the excuse or reason is. And if it doesn't get done, you probably don't get paid on it. But how do you manage that? And I know a lot of you, as Don was talking about, and Carol and Alycia, I know a lot of you, exercise to relieve stress and you enjoy other things, enjoy travel and other functions. Alycia, I know you're a big sports fan too. But talk to us just a minute about what you would tell other lawyers out there, other business professionals. about managing that work-life balance to be able to spend time with your family and your friends. Allyson, let's start with you.
I think it comes down to blocking some time off. Obviously, things come up and you're busy and they have to be done because of that time element that you referenced. But for me, I love working out. I used to own my own group fitness studio, but there's a prime example of being able to own a group fitness studio and be a criminal defense attorney. It really got tough. So the passion of working out is there for me. I was never a 5:45 a.m. exerciser ever. I still think I'm asleep for the first 15 minutes of class, but for me, that's the only time really during the day. And sometimes I like to think in the evening, I'm actually going to take that time, but I'm probably not going to. I will sit at my desk all night because there's always, one more thing. I could do one more thing. So being able to really say, no, on this day, I'm going to do this. Or talking about like on Thursday, my mom and I were going to grab dinner and this is the time. You put it in your book and you make time because you need that time to think and relax and breathe and to make time. It's beautiful here in Northeastern PA. So I love getting out with my dog, and I feel it's those moments when you actually step away from your practice that you're able to really think clearer, whether it's an issue in a case, whether it's something with your business, or even maybe something in your personal life. It's that time away that suddenly helps everything become clear. So scheduling it, blocking it, having time for dinner, drinks. I like TV. So today's Wednesday. So I'm like, what TV show? Today's The Housewives of New York. So making that time to enjoy what you love in life really helps you enjoy the stress of the practice.
Well, I love that tip. And for those watching, that's something that I've learned from others and that I try to do is that I try to schedule things. I mean, as simple as Wyatt's baseball schedule, or if I'm speaking, if I want to go to have lunch with my son, I put that on the calendar. That is just as important to me as a client phone call or a court hearing. So when I see that, I schedule everything else around it, just an emergency. So for me, that has really helped me to do that. And I'm a morning person too, sort of, but I don't have any other time. That's when you see my post or something from the gym, that's the only time I know for sure I can make it happen. And consistency, for me is key. Carol, what about you? I know you like to exercise as well. What things help manage your stress and manage your work-life balance?
So I live and die by my calendar. Everything I do is scheduled. But I prioritize me first over everything else, because if I'm not at my best, I can't be good for my family. I can't be good for my clients. So I block off time every week to work out. It also helps that I have friends. I'm a runner, so it helps that I have friends that will hold me accountable for running and will say, you will be at X location at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday to get our run in. So that's also very helpful. But I truly block absolutely everything on my calendar. I block Saturday and Sunday off. And my practice is all transactional, so I'm never in a courtroom. So I think it's probably a little bit easier for me to block off, maybe like a 3-mile run at lunchtime, or, a run at 10 o'clock in the morning, or, maybe I've worked a little bit before that and then I take a break and I go running and then I come right back. So my schedule is a little bit more flexible with that respect, but I have to block it all off. Because if I don't work out, it doesn't really serve anyone well. I actually had an old boss. He walked into my office one day and he said, "When's the last time you've been to yoga?" And I was like, "I don't know. What do you mean? I'm not stressed out." And he goes, "Today. You're going to yoga today." He's like, "I don't care what time you have to leave. Today, you're going to yoga." Because he could see what I couldn't see, which was that I was really stressed out. So I've learned from that just to really maintain my workouts. And like you were saying earlier, Mo, like there are some days like I have to cancel because stuff has to get done. But by and large, I block it on my calendar.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. It's worked well for me. Alycia, can you close it out for us? What do you talked about some of this last week in the conference that you were on the panel on, but talk just a minute about, you can pick up what some of the things that we've talked about are some things that work for you to manage the stress of being a lawyer and a mom and a wife and and all the PTA stuff you were telling me that you were doing and the other week. I was floored at all that because I've done that before myself, and it is quite the undertaking without managing everything else.
So for me, it's about starting early. So I'm like you, Mo. I'm a morning person, but I'm not a talk to people in the morning person. So it's like I'll get up at 5 o'clock and I like to get things done. Like I don't like to exercise in the morning. If I exercise, it's at night. But what that makes me feel like is that I've gotten ahead of the game already. And if I can get done, some emails or some content or do some things by the time that everyone else in my house is awake, like I've already, had 2 or 3 hours under my belt, which feels amazing. When you start the day that way, it feels a lot better. And with kids, I got to the point where one of my children was saying, like, Mommy, are you done work yet? So even though I was home, I was still doing a lot of work, and I had to take that time back a little bit. And the biggest thing I would say is just to kind of be present when you're supposed to be present. So if you're with your children or if you're with your spouse, it's kind of hard to shut down our responsibilities, our worries, but you kind of have to just be present in the moment. And then like Carol, at least one day on the weekend, I try to not to do anything. So if I'm gardening or if I'm running or whatever I'm doing, sometimes even if I'm just cleaning, it's really just a day for me to not have to work or worry about work or worry about anything else. And just like Allison said, like that time is so valuable because it clears your head. It really, really does. But I would say just find the time to be present. Try to get things done when other people aren't working because it makes you feel like you're way ahead of the game, even if you're not really. But it just puts you kind of ahead of everything else. But just the most important thing is be present. If we're working this hard for our families, we need to make sure that we're giving them that time right now.
I totally agree with that. First, let me say that one of the things that I really enjoy about getting up super early is I love Alycia always says hello or good morning to the entire Twitter universe. And I pride myself on trying to be the first person to like her good morning at about 5 a.m. So I hope you've noticed that because I try
Usually you are too.
I usually just give you the quick heart and I move on into the gym. But I think that's such an important part as we wrap up here is that if you commit to being there, especially for your family or your kids when you have children, is that you need to be there. And that
We lost him.
I think we did.
Oh no.
He'll log back in a minute.
Yeah, I think so. It looks like he was saying that we need to be present and in the moment. Welcome back on.
This is definitely being present in the moment.
Extremely present in the moment. So are you guys present?
I am indeed.
But it's definitely great seeing you ladies again and just kind of talking about this because it is the same thing that we talk about, I think, all the time in Legal Minds. Just about making sure that we're taking time for ourselves and not letting it, especially you, like Allison. Well, of course you too, Carol, but doing murder trials, I don't understand how you're able to do all of that.
I just did a preliminary hearing this past Friday. It's a 4 co-defendant trial. No, it was a preliminary hearing, so the first hearing here in the state of PA. But it was an all day. I was digging for candy at the courthouse because I was starving. So, but it's a long